Am I the a-hole for not paying for my niece's 17 female college anymore, since she's dating my son's 18 male bully? The bullying in question happened when my boy, Sean, was 13. And I know for some, it may seem like it was a long time ago and they were just kids. And I agree, if the bullying was just name-calling and pulling hair. But what my boy went through was downright cruel. It first started with names and slurs. Sean is gay. It then escalated from cyberbullying to physical. The worst incident was when the kids practically jumped my boy. I can't ever forget how messed up and bloody his face looked after that. I tried really hard to get those boys in trouble, but it was dismissed as kids playing around and getting too rough. My boy didn't even want to go to school for nearly 4 months, and during those months, he almost took his life. Luckily, my wife walked in right before he could do it. He's gotten all the mental help he needs and more, and he's doing much better. We moved, and he and my other kids had to practically start over. I'm telling all this just to paint the picture and show you it wasn't kids being kids. It was just little a-holes. I make more than enough, and I don't ever mind helping my family, you know. Well, I had promised my niece that I'd be paying for her college. Anyway, on to the problem. We went back to our hometown like always, celebrating the 4th of July and all of that. When we were prepping, my niece ended up bringing someone I never expected to see again. That little son of a B. Derek, one of the kids who did the bullying. I recognized him immediately, and I know he did too since he didn't stay long before leaving. After he left, I turned to my niece and asked her what the heck she was thinking, bringing him knowing what he did to her cousin. She acted like it wasn't a big deal and said that he had changed and the whole thing happened years ago. How nonchalant she was about the whole thing ticked me off. My sister tried telling her she shouldn't have brought him over, and she responded by saying she had a right to bring her boyfriend to meet the family. Then she said that if Sean wasn't over what happened even now, it wasn't her boyfriend's fault. My wife called her a heartless bee before leaving, and my kids followed her. I stayed back and told her that if her boyfriend had changed so much, then I guess he could pay for her education because I'm not supporting her anymore. Then I left. Me and my family are just staying at a nice hotel right now and are planning to go to an amusement park. I've been getting calls and messages from my sister, brother-in-law, and others who were present telling me I'm overreacting and that I shouldn't take away my niece's education. They've all sided with the bully, saying the little turd has changed a lot and is now a good kid, and I can't hold what he did as a troubled kid over him forever. Am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. My son, 17, was bullied quite badly last year. He has autism and a language disorder, and he's a pretty quiet and shy kid, but kids with autism are often targeted. I didn't know initially since he didn't want to tell me, but when he was literally crying and begging to stay home, I pressed for answers. I couldn't even remember the last time he cried. He ended up doing the virtual academy option for the year. I can't imagine, as a parent, the feeling of seeing your kid bloody and injured. No way would I just get over what happened either. Your niece seems pretty heartless. She isn't entitled to a paid education. I'm so sorry to you and your son. I hope he's doing better now. Has the little turd ever apologized to Sean? Tried to make amends? Nope. If he had truly changed, he would have done that by now. Tell your family members defending him that. And if he does try to apologize after this, you'll know it's only because your niece put him up to it to get her free college ride back. I wouldn't pay a penny for a niece that was this heartless to my kid. You're not holding a grudge. You're protecting your kid. Exactly this. That little turd could have apologized as soon as he recognized OP and OP's son. He didn't. He left, knowing he was wrong. The niece could have not brought him over, knowing it would be traumatic for OP's son. She didn't. She could have warned her cousin and OP. She didn't. She could have apologized after seeing how upsetting it was. She didn't. Obviously, she has autonomy to bring over her boyfriend, but by bringing over that boyfriend, she put her needs over the comfort and feelings of her cousin and uncle. That was a choice. She has zero right to be upset that OP is now putting his and his son's feelings over her needs and comfort. She is free to make her choices, but that doesn't make her free from repercussions and consequences. OP, tell anyone questioning your decision exactly that. If they think it's unfair, they are welcome to contribute to her college fund or tell her to sincerely apologize. Same goes for the little turd. Shouldn't be a problem. He has changed so much. Not the a-hole. Next story. Am I the a-hole for kicking my sister-in-law out and banning her from my home until she apologizes? I, 37 female, have 4 kids. 14 female, 10 and 8 males, and 5 female, with my husband, 35. My eldest, Eliza, is very shy and keeps to herself at big gatherings. She has never been a fan of huge gatherings, so she'll find a spot on the couch and stay there reading her book. People do go up to her and ask her about her book or school, etc., and she will reply. She'll answer their questions, and she's never rude to anyone. She's a good kid, and both sides of the family love her and understand why she likes her space. It has never been a problem until now. Yesterday, my husband invited his mom, dad, and sister, along with her husband and their twins, 13 females, and a few work buddies and their partners to join us for dinner. Eliza wasn't having a good day and asked if she could just stay in her room because today just wasn't a good day for her. Both my husband and I agreed that she could stay in her room that night, but if she needed to talk, she should just come to us. She thanked us before going up to her room. When everyone arrived, my husband was still cooking dinner, so I sat around the table with everyone, just catching up on what's been going on this week. My sister-in-law asked where Eliza was, and I told her that she was in her room because today hadn't been a good day for her. Sister-in-law felt bad and decided to go check on her. I told her that she shouldn't do that and to just let Eliza be for now, and when she's ready, she'll come down on her own. Sister-in-law rolled her eyes and went upstairs anyway. I quickly followed behind her because I really didn't want her bothering my child when she's upset. That's not fair to Eliza. When I caught up, I saw her scolding my daughter and calling her rude for not being downstairs with the rest of us. Before she could continue, I told her she was crossing the line and to leave Eliza alone. I explained that Eliza wasn't having a good day and to just let her be. She isn't being rude by wanting to be alone, and if an adult can take some time to themselves, then my daughter can do the same. Sister-in-law snapped at me and said I was coddling her too much and that she's going to be a failure when she's an adult because we babied her instead of preparing her for the struggles of the real world. I lost my temper and screamed at her to get out of my house if she couldn't respect that my daughter wants to be alone. I continued by telling her that she was extremely disrespectful to Eliza and that until she apologizes, she is no longer allowed in my house. Sister-in-law called me a B in front of my daughter and called me a horrible mom for coddling my daughter instead of forcing her to suck it up and spend time with the family. She continued by saying that Eliza needs to grow up because this shy thing was becoming unbearable. Before I could scream again, my husband came up asking what happened. My sister-in-law gave her side and told my husband that I wasn't being a good mom by coddling Eliza so much. My husband came to my defense and said that I did nothing wrong and that our daughter is allowed to take time for herself. I told him that I didn't want sister-in-law here until she apologizes to Eliza. He agreed with me, which made my sister-in-law absolutely mad, and she screamed at both of us before leaving with her husband and kids. I comforted my daughter and told her that taking space and wanting to be by herself wasn't wrong and that what her aunt said about her wasn't true. I reassured her that she was a good kid, and she hugged both my husband and me before going back to her room. My husband told me that I was a great mother and to ignore his sister because she has no idea what she's talking about when it comes to me. I've been getting a few calls and texts from other family members telling me I was wrong for reacting the way I did and that I took it too far when I kicked sister-in-law out. So I'm wondering, was I wrong in banning her until she apologizes to my daughter? Not the a-hole. You protected and defended your child. You should be proud of yourself and your husband for putting Eliza and each other first. Not the a-hole. In fact, you and your husband are rock star level parents. Sister-in-laws should learn not to cross Mama Bear and not to be such a mean a-hole, especially to a 14-year-old. Not the a-hole. I was a lot like your daughter as a child. I wish I had a mother like you growing up. Yes, you don't want to coddle your child, But there is absolutely no excuse for an aunt going upstairs and yelling at her teenage niece for being rude in her own house. Absolutely stand your ground until she apologizes to your daughter. It doesn't matter if someone is different. Everyone deserves respect. And you're teaching this lesson to your kids by not letting her back until she does. The sister-in-law is nothing but a bully and should not only apologize to her niece, but to OP for being a rude guest and calling her a B. Next story. Am I the a-hole for telling my brother-in-law to stop picking on my kids, or he's not coming on vacation? I have 3 kids. Rob, 16 male, Lisa, 14 female, and Anne, 9 female. Lisa is autistic, and her special interest is Taylor Swift. Rob and Anne go along with it and indulge her. They're good kids who care about and support each other. And yes, Rob and Anne get attention and support for their interests too. My brother-in-law Hector's entire personality is trying to rile people. You know, the whole it's just a joke bro type. Super childish, but whatever. He's family. Except my husband is out of the country, so I guess Hector thinks he gets to do whatever he wants. A few weeks ago, he started needling Lisa by making fun of Taylor Swift, using lots of childish name-calling, intentionally using the wrong term for fans, and stuff like that. Just really immature kid stuff. Lisa knows that not everyone likes Taylor Swift. One of her best friends hates her. She's not unable to hear different opinions. She has her own opinions that I'm sure she'd love to share with you all if you had 4 hours to spare. He would say, well, Swiffers did XYZ. And she would say, Uncle Hector, it's Swifties. And he would say it again to needle her. Rob was in the room. I was not. Rob said to him, why do you keep using the wrong word? She told you the right one. Hector said he could say whatever he wants and to cry about it. Rob said, it just seems like you're going out of your way to upset Lisa. Then Rob asked Lisa to finish what she was talking about and told her to ignore Hector. That's when I came into the room, and Hector waved at the kids and said, Roberta's getting real mad that someone's joking about mother. I wasn't in the room, so I didn't hear the comment about me, and Rob said I wouldn't get it. Before I could say anything, Rob said, bro, did you really just call me a girl's name? Are you 12? I put my hands up and said, okay, enough. Hector, stop. He said I'm raising soft kids who can't take a joke. I said he's being so effing rude and that he wouldn't be acting like this if my husband were home. I told him that if he wants to still go with us to Colorado this summer like we were planning, he has to stop now or he's not coming. This set him off, and he said I had no right to do that. Yes, I do, and that I'm being a controlling yak over Taylor Swift. I said, no, ignore Taylor Swift. This is about you being mean to your niece because her dad isn't home. He said, F you, and good luck next time you have a problem. You're on your own. He took his Costco chicken and left. I swear he must have immediately gone running to my mother-in-law because she called me to ask what really happened and sighed a lot. I asked her if I was overreacting, and she said she just hopes we can work it out because that trip was all he had to look forward to since he was laid off from work. I hate causing drama in the family, so am I the a-hole? Am I out of line? Not the a-hole. You should be proud of your son for standing up for his sister. The brother-in-law does not deserve to go for being a nasty piece of work. Rob is a very good son and has always been protective of his sisters. And I'm very grateful for that because I didn't have the same relationship with my brother, sadly. Not the a-hole. You protected your kids. Your son seems wise beyond his years and brave to stand up to a family member like that. This is a perfectly reasonable, natural consequence for the uncle to face. He has to be agreeable and kind to be invited on family vacations, lol. That's not a huge stretch. I hope he can come around. I'm glad your mother-in-law didn't completely take his side, but it sounds like she's a huge enabler. There's a lot of irony in saying, I hope you can work it out because that trip was all he had to look forward to since being laid off from work. Well, if he cared about the trip, maybe he should be grateful and respectful to his family so as not to put it at risk. Maybe he's a grown freaking man and shouldn't be coddled with vacations, just so he has something to look forward to. Make sure your husband is on board. You know brother-in-law will go to him next and will attack your parenting. and your logic and your values. You have your head on straight. Perhaps with your husband present, you can have an adult conversation with your brother-in-law about the role of jokes with your kids, and that his jokes lean heavily into negativity, from mocking interests to deliberately using the wrong names just to mess with them. Classic playground stuff. And if he wants a role in the family, he needs to do better. Last story. Am I the a-hole for agreeing to take custody of my siblings from their dad when he asked me if I'd raise them since I'm fine taking his wife's role? My mom died 4 years ago. I, 20 female, was 16 at the time. My younger siblings were 7, 8, and 10. We have different dads, and mine was never in my life, so I went to live with our shared grandparents, and they went to live with their dad and his wife. My siblings and I still saw each other and called and texted daily. Their dad wasn't that cool with it and did try to interfere, but our grandparents said they would get the courts involved to allow access if needed. My siblings come to me for stuff, my sisters for girl stuff, and my brother just in general. Honestly, I did a lot of the emotional mom stuff, like talking about periods with my sisters and even sex, contraception, and consent. They both came to me when their period started, and I gave them products and helped them find what worked. When they're sick, I'm the first person they tell. I'll wake up to a text or get one while I'm getting ready, and they'll want to see me. They ask my advice about extracurriculars, school, and even homework. Their dad hates it because he and his wife wanted her to fill the mother figure role. He told me I needed to step back and let her do it. I told him they didn't need to go to her when they had me and Grandma. He said his wife deserved a shot at helping them through things. And when I step in every time, they don't even look to her. We argued, and I never saw that as my problem. She's just his wife after all, and Mom can't be replaced. But he thought she could be. He even said they'd never agree to being adopted by his wife if she couldn't take over more of a motherly role. I asked him why he'd think I'd want that, and I told him I knew he'd try to use that to cut the rest of us out of their lives. He didn't deny it. He actually said nobody is irreplaceable, and if I loved my siblings, I'd want them to have a new mom. My siblings have complained endlessly to me and to different family members about their dad's wife, and how she and their dad try to act like she's their new mom, how they don't like that, or how they're not allowed to talk about mom or anything that reminds them they already have one. Apparently, their dad and his wife have a special hatred for me, and it's not hidden in their house. Their dad confronted me on all this stuff again and asked if I wasn't going to let his wife be their new mom. Was I going to take over raising them? I said yes, I'd take custody of them, and my grandparents and I would be happy to have them with us. I told him they are my family after all, and I would do everything I could to give them a good life. He didn't expect my answer and got more irritated. He asked if I was serious, and I said yeah. I told him I had even looked into it, just in case any of them asked me to fight for them, and that I had made sure I'd be secure enough to make it work. He went off on me, and I just walked away because I didn't see why I needed to let him scream in my face. He said I had some nerve, and that I was supposed to realize the best place for them is with 2 parents, which he and his wife could give them. Then he threatened to stop all contact between us. I told him the threat my grandparents made still stood, and if he ever tried that, his kids would never forgive him, and he'd lose them forever. That ticked him off even more. I'm ignoring all contact from him right now because he just wants to scream at me via text about how wrong it was to say I'd take custody. Am I the a-hole for saying that? Now for the comments. Not the a-hole. My guy really thought he was hitting you with a gotcha moment, and instead, you hit him with a full-on legal battle plan. The fact that he got even more mad when you said you'd take custody just proves that this was never about what's best for your siblings. It's about his ego and forcing his wife into a role they don't want her in. Honestly, you're stepping up in a way that a lot of people wouldn't, and your siblings clearly see you as their safe space. He can stay mad, but the reality is, love isn't something you can force, and respect is earned, not demanded. If he actually cared about their happiness, he'd listen instead of throwing tantrums. He's mad because he realizes she's right, and his own children don't want what he's forcing on them. She is not the problem, he is. He will still be mad when the kids are grown and leave the house as soon as they can and stop talking to him and the wife. He says he doesn't understand why they won't talk to him, but only because he refuses to acknowledge he did wrong. Not the a-hole. It's really upsetting that he's so threatened by your bond with your siblings, and that he almost wants to erase their mom's existence. You're an amazing big sister, and your siblings are lucky to have you. I do everything to be there for them. I love them, and I know Mom would want us to stay as close as ever. I love how he's trying to guilt you to do what's best for the kids, while actively going against their best interest, and for no apparent reason, lol. Why is this man so insecure about this? Was he maybe a deadbeat before, and now wants to please his new wife? Pathetic. Prioritizing his wife over his children. Not a deadbeat, but he was a crappy guy overall.